Hello, everybody. I am still in the process of making my transition from PC to Apple. And I'm going through just, I won't say I'm going through a headache, but it's been a bit of a more of a challenge than I anticipated. Well, it all started when my PC laptop crashed, and I really need to get work done still. So I decided to switch over to the iPad Pro, and I have the this is the 12.9 inch version of it, and it's got 16 gigabytes of RAM. It's got the M1 chip. I don't have the M2 chip. Um, I believe it's got the 8 core CPU, 8 core GPU, and again, put that with 16 gigs of RAM. I mean, it's really a laptop. Um, However, there are serious limitations with it, and so even though you can buy an M1 MacBook Pro, the laptop version, and it'll have the same internal hardware as this one, the MacBook Pro has the ability to run the full Adobe Creative Suite, um, along with Final Cut, and so which I can't run the full suite on the iPad Pro, and so I did not know that when I first got it. So that's a surprise. Um, so it just seems like this version of it is a little bit in no man's land because it does have more than enough capability to be really like a gaming PC with an 8 core GPU and 8 core CPU, and the 16 gigs of RAM is just icing on the top. But the problem is that the software that creatives use still reads the iPad as really a big phone. You have a tablet, you have a mobile device, and so mobile devices really can't run um, the creative suites, very much, and so you have a lot of features and filters missing. You just don't have access to, and I've had this for at least 6 months. There's always something on the community forum from Adobe saying that they're working on it. But again, that's been for months, and that's been a problem since before I bought this iPad. So I saw some news a couple of days ago that I heard that Final Cut is going to be available on the iPad Pro for, I think it's going to be $5 a month, and we should be able to run the full version on this on the tablet, but you know it's very slow as far as progress, and so that's why I said that the Pro, I'm a little bit uncertain of why Apple has this version available, because you have more than enough power. Like, it has more power in it than you can use. Like the 8 core CPU GPU with the 16 gigs of RAM is great, but you can't use it with any of the software you really use it with. So even if you're using something like video editing with Adobe Premiere, you can't run it. You can't run it on the tablet. And so again, it's like, what do we need the M1 chip on here for? What do we need all the power for? So yeah, it's in a really bizarre place. Now, you can hook up the iPad to an external monitor, right? Because one of the most recent updates to the operating system allows us to mirror the iPad to a larger monitor. And so now I've got a 32-inch mounted to the wall, and that's really a good external screen for me to use, especially when my eyes get tired, because I'm going from my PC laptop was a 15.6 inch, and now I'm working on a 12.9 inch screen. And even though I love the XDR screen, absolutely love the XDR Retina screen, it's smaller. It's a smaller screen. So yeah, it's just you got pros and cons with it. It's definitely a smaller screen. Now, speaking of smaller screens, and you guys probably know this already by now, but I'm just letting you guys know, if you don't know, for the ones who don't know, the 11-inch version of the iPad Pro does not come with the XDR Retina screen. You really have to pay attention to the XDR, those three letters, because that's a big deal. So on the 11-inch version of this, it still has the M1 chip, but the screen resolution is going to be it's not going to be as good. And so if you do want the best screen possible, you're going to get the 12.9 inch version. Now, why the 11-inch version doesn't have the XDR screen, I'm not sure, but again, it kind of forces you to spend more money on the larger version. Let's see. Now, as far as one really significant pro above a laptop, even a MacBook Pro, is that I have the cellular version of the iPad Pro, which means that I don't need to find a hotspot when I'm out and about. I don't need to find a hotspot. It's got its own line to it, so I can get 5G basically wherever it's available, and I don't have to connect to a hotspot or go to Starbucks or go anywhere else. I can just open up the tablet, and I'm good to go. I'm connected to the internet. And so that is something that you can't do with a laptop. You get a MacBook Pro as far as you're out, and for me, I'm doing a lot of photography. If I'm out capturing pictures and I really want to look at what I've got and then be connected to the internet, you really do have to find a hotspot with the laptop. And plus, the laptop is going to be bigger, heavier, even though the MacBook Pros are pretty light considering how much power they have internally. But this one's easier for me to carry around. It doesn't really weigh much at all. But I would say you're definitely going to need a case for it, because it's outside of this case that I have it in with the keyboard connected, it's really slippery. Like, there is no grip or texture to it whatsoever. So it's easy for you, just even if I'm holding it in my lap, like, it's easy for it to slip out of my hands. And so I really do have it in a case more times than not. But as far as the case, the keyboard, whether it's keyboard, mouse, pencil, there's different accessories that you can get with the iPad that's outside of the Apple brand. I would suggest going with Logitech, because I was talking with someone in Target and she was saying that her keyboard kept disconnecting, the Bluetooth kept dropping, and I forgot what brand she had, but she didn't have the Apple brand, she didn't have the Logitech brand. And so again, if you have keyboard, mouse, pencil accessories, and if you're trying to save money or you want something that's more practical in some cases, I would get the Logitech brand. Now, pros and cons with that. On the plus side, this has the function keys at the top, as far as you can adjust the volume, you can adjust the screen brightness. Yeah, there are some function keys up at the top, and then you can also control like the pad, because this is a backlit keyboard, and you can control like how bright you want the keys to be. So there are some functions up there at the top. Now on Apple's keyboard that goes with the iPad, I don't believe you have those functions on the top for some reason or the other. The other reason that I got the Logitech brand is that once you disconnect it from the keyboard, you can basically move this in different positions. Like, you can drop this really low once you disconnect it, and for me, that's how I work with it, really, really low. And then once I'm done with the photograph and I want to sign it, I would really drop this down and it'll just be like I'm writing in a book. And so just this position by itself is worth it to me, with skipping over the Apple brand and getting the Logitech brand, because it's just more comfortable for me to work like this. Now, I do have the Apple Pencil. This is the second generation one, and I think the second gen is the only one that works on the M1 version of the MacBook Pro. Now, of course, the M2 version is out of the Pro. I don't know about the specs, and I don't think I'm going to upgrade, because this particular version that I have right here is more expensive than some of the versions of the MacBook Pros. And so, like I said, I got the cellular version so that when I'm out and about, I'll still always be connected to the internet or have access to the internet without trying to find a hotspot. So for me, that's worth it. But for most of everyone else, it's an additional cost that might not be that might not be worth it. But being able to position it, it's just more versatile than the Apple version of the keyboard. Now, on the con side of it, I don't like the color of the Logitech keyboard. It's just a plain gray. It's not even like a cool gray. It's gray. And so that part of it I don't like. I guess it's just not aesthetically pleasing for me. I was looking for black. I would even take in white, but it's gray. It's gray. I don't know what else I can do with it, but yeah, it folds down. It works though. It works. It definitely works. And so this has the texture on it so that I can hold it like this. But if you take this out of the case and try to hold your iPad like this, it can easily slip out of your hands because the texture on it is so smooth. But yes, this is the Logitech brand. If you're worried about cost, gosh, at the time, I guess Apple's version of this was $330, I want to say. And right now it's probably $300. For this, you can get it between $220 and $250, depending on if you find it on sale. For me, I found it at Best Buy, and yeah, I've been using it for months now, for several months, and so I haven't had any connection issues with it. I don't get any drops very often that is like noticeable as far as the keyboard disconnecting from the iPad. And so, like I said, Logitech is the only brand that I know of that is officially authorized to be paired with or used with Apple products. And so as far as the mouse, gosh, what did I do with my mouse? This I do have. Now, this is Black Web. I mean, I really didn't pay attention to what I was getting when I got it. I just wanted something that was on with Bluetooth. This I have connection issues with because it's not Logitech, it's not Apple. And sometimes I'm using it on Bluetooth and it's fine, and then the next thing you know, I can't get the cursor to move on the screen. And so that part of it is a bit annoying, but yeah. And then as you can see on here, you have the opening for the camera on there. But yeah, it's really nice. So let me see if I can open this here. Okay, so there we go, disconnected, and it's got the stuff on the bottom, the connectors, and that's how it connects. It just snaps on and you're good to go. And there's really no delays with it as far as like once you connect it, it's like 2 seconds maybe, and then it comes up like it's reading it as connected. Um, but yeah, it's connected by Bluetooth. Now here's the other thing. It's using your battery power from the iPad. So especially with the backlit keyboards, you're going to be draining your battery a lot. The pencil, Apple Pencil, is also taking from the battery from the iPad, and so I would say keep it plugged in. um I wouldn't say all the time, but especially when you're working on the project, because the battery can drain pretty quickly. Now, gosh, I'm thinking like, what else is there? Yeah, I think that's it. But again, it's very narrow in terms of what you can use this for, right? Um, because again, if you're a creative, professional creative, you can't use the full version of Adobe Suite, and then it's very limited in what other softwares you can pair with it. So it really comes across as it's a giant iPhone. Um, so I even with the Pro version, I'm not sure, like I said before, why they put the M1 chip in it and so much. It's as far as the CPU and the GPU, it's 8 cores. They put a lot of cores in it, and so. And also with that, it's like you can't use it as a gaming PC. So I don't know where to put this at. So what I'm doing right now is this is my laptop back here. Um, the laptop is fine. It's a PC laptop. I cannot stand the screen, and I don't know if you can tell on in the camera in here. This screen and this screen is just night and day. It's night and day. And so I didn't realize the PC screen was so bad until I got the iPad Pro with, like I said, the XDR Retina screen. It's bad. It's a big difference. And so now trying to work on the PC laptop is really a problem, because it's really not as clear and not as good as the iPad Pro. And so what I'm going to have to do is I can use Adobe Creative Suite on the laptop, but the screen looks bad. So now I've got to get an external monitor, which I do want an external monitor anyway, because like I said, this one's very small at 12.9. The laptop is 15.6. I'm probably looking at maybe getting maybe in the low 30s, a 32-inch external. That's what I'm thinking. And gosh, it's gonna cost probably as much as the PC laptop costs, because I want the quality of the monitor to be really good. 4K, I don't think, but I'm leaning in that direction. And if I go in that direction, I'm probably going to go Samsung, because Samsung has some really good monitors. They really do. I think the curved monitor from Samsung is really good. There's different model numbers, and I have to keep track of which one that I really want. But I kind of narrowed it down to 2 or 3. But yeah, I think that's really gonna help, because what I like to do is I like to use Adobe Bridge. Adobe Bridge is not available at all on the iPad, so even if the entire version was, we got the full version of the suite, Adobe Bridge is not available at all. And I also have limited access to Adobe Camera Raw, which I like to edit my photography in. A limited access, and so that's annoying on the iPad Pro. So I just, I'm in a spot now where if I would have known this before that the iPad Pro was so limited, I probably would have gotten a lesser version of it. And gosh, I want to say gotten an external monitor, or I would have just saved up to get the MacBook Pro. And for the laptop, got, a more expensive external monitor to pair with it. Because the PC laptop, the internals like the CPU, GPU, all that stuff is fine. That stuff is fine. It works fine. I think I got the Intel i5 is what I have in it. It's fast, backlit keyboard, everything works fine. It's just the monitor on the laptop. It's not great. So that's the only thing. There's one more thing with the iPad. Remember I said about plugging it in? The cord that comes in the box with the iPad is like 2 feet long. So if you're a PC person, your cord is like maybe 8 feet, something like that. At least 8 feet of cord that comes with the laptop. So when I opened the really nice box that it came in, I looked at the cord and I'm like, what in the world am I supposed to do with this? This is like 2 feet long. I can't go from the desk to the outlet with this thing. So, oh gosh, it's like Apple had me go back to the store, pay $20 for a cord, the cord that the pad should have came with in the first place. Pay $20 for a longer cord, and of course it works fine. But it's like, why do I have to go back to this like store to buy a longer cord for something that they were marketing as a PC laptop replacement? That I didn't understand. I didn't understand that. But yeah, something similar happened with the iPhone. Like I switched from Android to iPhone. I had a Samsung A20 and it was like a 6.1 screen, something like that, and I paid like $250 for it. It was paid off. So, and my sister kind of prepared me for a sticker shock, but switching over to Apple, I wanted my phone to be a 6-inch or at least 6.1-inch screen. The only way I could do that was to get the Pro Max version of the iPhone 12. And it was like, oh my gosh, I want to say $1,200, $1,300. So there is that. But anyway, so I go to Verizon, I get the phone, I come home, I open the really nice box. There is no charger in there. No charger. I'm like, and it didn't dawn on me, like, this box is pretty small. Hopefully there's a charger in here. No, there's no charger. There's no charger. And so I'm like, okay, there's no charger. I have, chargers around here, right? The adapters, right? The iPhone does not use the USB plug. It has to be a USB-C to a lightning connection, which means I had to go back to the store, pay $20 to buy the power adapter so I can charge my phone. I'm like, this phone is $1,200. Put the charger in there with the phone. It's like, how do I get a charger with my Android? It's $250, but then the $1,200 phone, you can't put a charger in there. So it's just, they did give me the cord with the phone, but again, the cord is short. It's a short cord. But see, with my phone, I didn't go back and buy a longer cord, because I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to spend $20 just to buy a longer cord that should have came with the phone in the first place. But with the iPad Pro, I'm using it as a laptop. So it's like I need a long cord. It's showing up a lot of power with from the keyboard, the pencil, and it's beefy. Like it's got a lot of power internally, so it's going to use up a lot of power. I need a longer cord. So yeah, it's yeah. Anyway, for you guys worried about budget, right? I did not pay for the iPad Pro outright. I bought it from Verizon. 0% financing, no down payment with my credit. And I just added it to my line. I added it as a second line on my account. And I'm paying for it monthly. Now it's $2,000 for the cellular version, but for what I want to use it for, and because I was thinking that it was going to be like a baby laptop, I felt like it was worth it. But 2 months down the road, I realized that it's not a baby laptop. It's not. it's not even a MacBook Air. It's really a big phone. And so, gosh, I guess if you want something just as light, you can go with the MacBook Air. But if you want to use the Creative Suite, video editing software, that type of thing, and you want to stay with the Apple brand, you're going to have to get the MacBook Pro or the iMac. And of course, the iMac is great because the screen size, you get like a 24-inch, 27-inch. That's great. Problem is the lack of mobility. That's just going to be out the window. Mobility is just going to be out the window with the iMac. So if you can't afford paying the money outright or having an Apple card and paying like $200 a month for the MacBook Pro, I would say this is an alternative. So for me, I'm jumping back and forth between the PC and the iPad Pro, because when I'm photo editing, the iPad, there's enough features on Photoshop where I can use it for photo editing, and of course Lightroom works fine. I don't think Lightroom has any limitations on it, except that I don't use Lightroom very often. I like Camera Raw better than Lightroom, but with some of the Lightroom updates, I may be able to switch over to Lightroom and use that more, because now it looks more like Camera Raw. But I'm just more comfortable and in rhythm with using Camera Raw. And, like I said, paired with Adobe Bridge, which Adobe Bridge, as far as file management, that's my go-to. And I can't access Adobe Bridge, like I said before, from the iPad. So there's all these things. But yeah, I think that's all I have. I'm almost at the 30-minute mark. But the only other thing I would say, as far as your setup with your home office, is, I don't know if you guys can see, that's my little plant. It's a snake plant. That's what they call it. The snake plant, along with quite a few other plant types, are natural air purifiers. And so get these. You don't have to, they're not hard to keep up. You don't have to water them that often. This is the first summer that I've had this particular snake plant, so it's growing a lot faster than I thought it would. It wasn't that big before. Like during the winter, it didn't look like that. So yeah, I'm just like keeping up with it. But natural air purifiers are good to have around the home office because I spend a lot of time in here and I don't get enough fresh air, like not as much as I'm supposed to, just by going outside, going for walks and stuff like that. So especially if I have a project, I'm just in here for hours looking at screens and looking at my camera and looking at whatever I'm photographing, and or if I have a writing session, I'm just staring at the screen, writing. um it's good to have air purifiers because it can get stuffy in a room. you know um and of course I do like to open I had the sliding glass door in here, but this is Florida. We're going into the summer months. It gets hot, it gets humid, it gets mucky, and I don't want the door open. I don't leave the door open that much during the summer months because it's just too hot and it gets sticky, and I'm just like, no. So to keep the air fresh in here, I would definitely say just do a search, internet search, and it'll come up with a list of plants that purify the air. Now for me, gosh, I especially like going to Lowe's. You can go to Home Depot as well. But for these, I think I definitely found these at Lowe's. And so, for sure, they really do help. So that's all I have. That's all I have. So yeah, I think my transition, moving over from PC to Apple, it's I love the Apple products for the most part. I just think that sometimes, Apple, their products can be a bit not they're not practical enough. Like, I guess, for example, the Apple mouse, they it looks a lot better than this, right? It's about $90. They put the charger plug on the bottom of the mouse for Apple, and when you're charging their mouse, you can't use it, right? Because you have to plug in the wire on the bottom of the mouse, and so how are you supposed to use it? You can't. So why they didn't put the plug to put the charger in, or the wire in, at the top of the mouse, I don't know why Apple decided not to put it at the top of the mouse. I don't know. They put it on the bottom at the base of the mouse, and so I don't know how long it takes for the mouse to charge, but that's just impractical. As far as the features on the Apple mouse, it's awesome. Very innovative, easy to use. It has gestures that you can have on it, that you can use on the mouse, and so it's really good in that regard. But then, how long can you use it before it starts running out of power? And then you have to stop using the mouse and plug it in and wait for it to charge. I mean, it's just impractical. So they have this really brilliant idea, and then they have, the part of their products where it's just impractical. It's like, what's going on? It's like it just doesn't go together. I don't know. I don't know. So what I would like for Apple to do, trying to close my thought here, is to make one thing, and that's just the end of it, right? Just make one thing, because it just feels like the iPad Pro is kind of in the middle of nowhere. Like, they can make it the MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air combined. As far as it's lighter, it's just as light as the Air, but it's just as powerful as the MacBook Pro, right? So that's great. But then they limited the capabilities of it by keeping it a mobile device or having software read it as a mobile device. And then you have developers are not changing the software nearly as fast as we need them to in order for it to work on the iPad Pro so that we can use the 8-core CPU, 8-core GPU it has. It's like, well, we don't need it right now. And it's been like this for over a year, if not more. So I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, we just got the ability to mirror the iPad on a device that's not Apple. So I just want them to take the training wheels or the handcuffs or the restraints, the boundaries off the products and just let us use it. Like, my other example too is the headphones, where like Apple has the headphones, right? The Max, I think they call it Apple Max. Really good headphones. I love the design. They seem like they'll fit comfortably. They're built with metal, like they're really well built. Great sound, right? There's a limitation to where you can only use Apple's headphones on Apple products. And that's just not practical. Like, we don't just have Apple products everywhere throughout our home. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, I looked into buying them, and I'm like, no. So they are, gosh, they're $500 to $550 for the headphones. Skipped over that, and I'm like, yeah, I don't only use my headphones on Apple products. That makes absolutely no sense. So again, they made a great product with the headphones, but then there's restrictions to it. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just like the Empire, right? We're buying products from the Empire, and they want this certain amount of control with how their products are used. And I'm like, as much money as we're paying for these products, you need to kind of loosen your grip on them. So instead of the Apple headphones, I bought the Sony XM5s. It works with the Apple products. It works with the PC products. It works with the gaming consoles. It works with everything. Why? Because they're headphones. Like, just don't overcomplicate it. They're headphones. They're supposed to be used with whatever we use the headphones with. So I don't know. It's Apple. Now, the thing with the Sony XM5s is that the sound, from all the reviews I looked at, the sound is actually better than Apple's Max headphones. So I'm like, okay, I'm sold. So I went ahead and I got them. So I got them, love them. Like I said, can use them with everything, no matter if it's Apple or PC or Android. So yeah, that's that's really what it is. So yeah, I hope you guys got something like this. And I know I haven't uploaded anything in a while, but this is really just an update on where I am, and hopefully I'll have more updates about what I'm doing soon. But yeah, this is the setup that I'm working on, as far as I replaced the desk and furniture, and I got another chair, and just, oh my goodness. So I really invested in the home office and trying to get everything together so that it's easier for me to get my content out there. But thank you guys for sticking with me. And if you have questions, comments, you can email me, contact me through the website. I'm still on social media with Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, TikTok, Tumblr, just everywhere. Twitter, everywhere. So yeah, you can connect me with me there. And all of it is, or just go to the website. Everything's on the website at ericcjacksonstudio.com. At the bottom in the footer, there's all the links to the social media channels are there. And I have so much work to do still as far as coming out with new work. But the website has a new theme. I'm still updating it with the products, prices, things like that. And just working on being more consistent with getting work out there. And so thank you guys for being patient with me. I really appreciate it. And everyone, take care.